right, we're diving into one of those cases that just, well, it never really goes away, does it? The Black Dahlia. I knew you guys would request this one sooner or later.
Yeah, 1947 Los Angeles, you've got this post-war boom happening. Hollywood's going crazy, but then boom, this brutal murder just darkens everything.
It's like Los Angeles has always had that kind of undercurrent, like the sunshine can't quite hide the shadows.
Exactly. And this case, it just digs into all of that. The brutality, unsolved, all the theories. People are still obsessed.
And that name, the Black Dahlia, it's almost bigger than the case itself, right? More myth than person at this point.
That happens a lot, unfortunately. When a case gets this big, this media-driven, the victim can almost fade away.
So let's not let that happen. Who was Elizabeth Short? Before all this, what do we know?
Well, she starts out pretty normal, actually. Born in 1924, Massachusetts, one of 5 daughters. A bit of a tough family life. Things weren't easy.
Okay, working class New England, I can picture it. But something about her dad, right? Wasn't there some mystery?
Oh, yeah, big time. He actually, and this is wild, faked his own death. Just vanished, took off for California.
Whoa, okay, so like a mini mystery before the main mystery. Did Elizabeth ever reconnect with him out west?
As far as we know, nope. No record of it. But she did follow him out there a few years later, mid-1940s, dreaming of becoming a Hollywood starlet.
Classic story. Sadly, it's not always happy ending, though.
Nope. Struggled to make it, the drill, odd jobs, but she was a looker, for sure. That classic beauty, always in black, it's part of how that Black Dahlia thing got stuck.
So trying to make it, but then January 1947 happens.
Yeah.
Take us to that day, the discovery.
It's January 15th, a pretty normal day. A mother and her daughter, they're just out for a walk in Lamert Park. Peaceful, residential. They see something, think it's a mannequin, but it's not.
And it's, well, I think our listeners know this case. It's gruesome.
Oh, yeah. We're talking body severed, drained of blood, and that Glasgow smile cut into her face. Horrific.
You have to wonder, what goes through someone's mind to do something like that? The posing, the specific way she was untreated. It's chilling.
And that's where you get into the psychology of it, right? That level of control, the dehumanization.
Like they're sending a message, almost. So LAPD, they must have been under incredible pressure. Huge case.
Oh, yeah. Pressure cooker. The press goes nuts. Black Dahlia is everywhere. Every headline more lurid than the last. It's a frenzy. And the cops, over 150 suspects, FBI's involved. It's massive.
All those eyes on the case. Must make things harder in some ways, right?
You would think so. And in this case, probably. Nowadays, media can help keep a case alive, tips and all that. But back then, well, forensics wasn't what it is today.
Right. No DNA testing back in 47.
Exactly. So you've got reporters all over the crime scene, potentially messing things up without even knowing it. Plus, they run with any rumor, any theory, muddies the waters.
So the media frenzy, the very thing that makes the Black Dahlia famous, might have also made the case harder to solve.
Ironic, isn't it? Makes you think about how we consume true crime today, what responsibility we have. But that's a bigger conversation.
For another time, maybe.
Okay.
Let's talk about one suspect in particular, Dr. George Hodel. And this is where it gets extra strange, because his own son, Steve Hodel, ex-LAPD, no less, he thinks his father was the Dahlia killer.
Yeah, Steve Hodel, he went all in on this. Years researching old files, interviews, even wrote a book about it. What got him started was a picture of his dad from back then. Strong resemblance to one of the police sketches.
So a look-alike, but that's not enough, right? What else did he find?
Well, Dr. Hodel was a surgeon. And some people believe those cuts on Elizabeth's body, they were too precise, like someone with medical knowledge did them.
I see where he's going with that. But still, just a theory, yeah. What's missing to really nail it down?
Well, you got to remember, this is a cold case from the 40s. Proving anything is tough. Like, there's no DNA tying Dr. Hodel to the scene. Hard evidence is hard to come by after all these years.
Time, the ultimate enemy of any investigation. And I bet even with today's tech, evidence that old. It's a long shot.
Absolutely. But then you've got this whole other angle. The Cleveland torso murders. Ever heard of those?
Vaguely, I think. Weren't those even earlier than the Dahlia case?
Yeah, back in the 30s. But the thing is, some of the mutilations, the way the victims were presented, it has echoes of what happened to Elizabeth Short.
You're saying same killer, potentially?
Yeah.
Across states, across years? That's terrifying.
It's a theory, for sure. Not proven, though. Both those cases, Dahlia and torso murders, still unsolved. Adds to the whole mystery.
Like trying to solve two puzzles at once, but half the pieces are missing from both.
Exactly. And that's cold cases for you. Separating fact from fiction is a nightmare. Leads are ice cold.
And yet, cases like this, they grip us, don't they?
Yeah.
Even when answers feel impossible.
Yeah.
What does that say about us, I wonder?
Maybe we'll find out as we keep digging. You know, we get lost in the theories, the suspects. We almost forget Elizabeth Short was a person. This wasn't just a headline.
It's easy to get caught up in the puzzle, yeah. But a young woman lost her life, horribly. And the way the press treated her, well, it wasn't always respectful.
No, it wasn't. They focused on her looks, the Hollywood dreams, even gossip about her. Like, they were trying to find a reason why she deserved this.
Which is messed up, obviously. And sadly, not that uncommon. Even today, some true crime stuff, it feels exploitative. Like the victim is just a character, not a real person.
It's something we all got to watch out for, right? Creators and the audience. Are we seeing the victim as a person or just part of a story we want to hear?
Tough question. We want to find the truth, understand the crime, but without, disrespecting the victim and their family.
It's a balance, for sure. And the Dahlia case, it's like a warning sign, right? All that media attention, it didn't always help. So how do we, I guess, be responsible true crime fans?
Yeah, it's on all of us.
Yeah.
Speaking of family,
Yeah?
Can you even imagine what Elizabeth Short's family went through? Not just losing her, but then this.
I can't even begin to. It's awful. That constant reminder, the speculation never ends. And in this case, the newspapers were brutal. Stuff that wasn't even true, just to sell copies. Horrible.
Makes you wonder, why are we so drawn to these cases? Decades later, the Dahlia is still huge. What is it about unsolved Hollywood mysteries that gets us?
Well, it's gruesome, for one. I mean, the crime scene photos, the way she was, it horrifying. But that grabs people's attention. And then you've got the whole Hollywood angle. Aspiring actress, post-war, L.A. It's like a noir film waiting to happen.
Right, like that darkness lurking beneath the glamour. And it's unsolved. We want answers. We want someone brought to justice.
Closure, yeah. But when you don't get that, the mystery becomes even bigger. The Dahlia case is practically a myth at this point. People project their own fears onto it, try to make sense of something senseless.
So it's about us, in a way. Our anxieties about crime, about fame, it all gets tangled up in this one case.
I think so. It's become a mirror, reflecting back some of our darker obsessions.
So the case may be unsolved, but it's still telling us something about ourselves, about our culture.
Yeah, it's like the case itself almost becomes symbolic, doesn't it? Like what happened to Elizabeth Short? It says something about Hollywood, about the dangers of wanting fame.
I think so, definitely. Part of it is that classic femme fatale idea, right? The beautiful woman, maybe a little dangerous herself, who ends up dead. It's a story that's always fascinated people.
But that's kind of messed up, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
we're blaming the victim, making up stories about her to fit this narrative.
Exactly. Elizabeth Short was a person, not just a character in some Hollywood story. We got to remember that.
So how do we, as true crime fans, avoid doing that? How do we enjoy these mysteries without, disrespecting the victims?
Tough question. I mean, we're drawn to this stuff, right? The darkness, trying to understand it. Maybe it's even a bit scary because it could happen to any of us.
But we can't just indulge that without thinking about it, right? Right. We have to be critical, think about what we're consuming, what stories we're buying into. Like, are we just getting off on the tragedy? Are we supporting media that's exploiting these cases?
Deep stuff. Easy to forget when you're caught up in the mystery, but you're right.
And the Dahlia case, it's a prime example. Even though it's unsolved, it teaches us something about empathy, about respecting the victims, even when we're dying to know the truth.
So yeah, the case is officially unsolved. But it's given us a lot to think about, hasn't it? Hollywood, justice, how we view victims. It's all in there.
It's a case that really makes you examine, our culture, I guess. The good and the bad, how we handle fame, how we deal with the darkness that's always there under the surface.
Yeah, it's haunting, that's for sure. Some mysteries, they just stick with you.
I think that's the power of a case like this. It's not just about the answers, it's about the questions it makes us ask. About ourselves, about the world.
We've covered a lot today, that's for sure. And honestly, I'm still processing it all. The Black Dahlia, it's more than just a crime. It's this cultural touchstone. Hollywood, ambition, the dark side of things. It all comes together.
And to everyone listening, don't stop here. Keep digging into this case. There's tons of books, documentaries, theories. Make up your own mind, but be respectful. Remember the real person at the heart of it.
Absolutely. This case, it's going to stay with us all, I think. Maybe someday the truth will come out, maybe not. But until then, the mystery lives on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, folks.